What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Julian Dorey podcast. I am Julian Dorey.
I'm Joey Deef. How you doing?
How you doing? All right, Deef. Leon Black finally testified today behind closed doors, so we couldn't see it.
Face.
But some shit went down, so maybe we're going to see something now. Don't hold your breath, but we're going to break it all down. In the meantime, though, I needed you for security yesterday, Joseph DeFilippis.
Yeah,
it was
I
like the
heard.
worst day to not have security.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got a little Clorox smiley face on the table now, thanks to Matan.
Matan, you bastard.
Matan. So, Matan, Evan, if you've ever seen his channel, he's always in character. We did a wild podcast, if it could even be called that, come out in a couple weeks. He's hilarious. He's a satirist, so none of it is to be taken seriously. We just went back and forth for probably like a couple hours. I'll have to see what I can actually put on YouTube. There might be like 20 minutes that has to be Patreon exclusive, literally, because it'll violate the terms of service or something. I'll figure that out later. But, dude, 107-mile-an-hour fastballs every 5 seconds coming at you from that guy.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. He was fucking with all the cameras, spraying Clorox in the coffees, ruining our shirts. Technically, there was shampoo all over the headphone amp right here. Basically, like, he showed up in a T-shirt, normal. We talked for like 30 seconds, and then he goes, all right, where's the bathroom? I said, front door on the right. He goes in there for 5-6 minutes, comes out with the jacket on, in character, accent on, with all my cleaning supplies from the bathroom, puts it on the table, and just starts wreaking havoc. And then we turn on the cameras, and it was whatever. So I had a great time with him. It's definitely a way different podcast, but really, I mean, he's a funny dude. He's fast, he's sharp, and like it's all like this persona.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. He's a young Andy Kaufman.
A young Andy Kaufman. Well, you know who's not a young Andy Kaufman?
Who?
Leon Black.
No, he's a young something.
Okay, so pause. So Leon Black is one of the 5 people that Jeffrey Epstein's accountant named as someone who paid him, the accountant, I forget the accountant's name, directly when that guy, I should have his name in front of me, I'm sorry, when that guy testified in front of Congress on video back in, I want to say that was March.
Richard Kahn.
Richard Kahn, that's it. Thank you, Joseph DeFilippis.
Got it.
So when Richard Kahn testified on a video deposition in front of Congress back in March or April, that was what he said. Among the other people named were the Rothschilds, as well as Les Wexner, and again, Leon Black was one of those 5. Leon Black obviously is the co-founder of Apollo Global, which is one of the most famous private equity firms of all time. We have gone through a lot of his backstory before. There will be some that is kind of new, filling in the blanks today. But if you remember my episode with Henry Abbott, I know he was discussed a bunch, he being Leon Black. Henry has been all over that tie-in particularly, along with like the Jay Clayton thing, which comes back to Leon Black as well, since basically like 2020. Like he was the guy on this, and I had a chance to talk with Henry on the phone today, who is expanding that investigation as we speak, doing some really good work on it at his blog True Hoop, and there's going to be some more stuff, I think, coming this summer from our friend Henry. So
Let's go, Henry.
Hey guys, 3 quick things. Number 1, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's a huge, huge help. Number 2, if you'd like to join my Patreon for early uncensored releases of the full episodes, you can join via the link in my description or in the pinned comment below. And number 3, if you'd like to join my clipping community for a chance to make content from the show and make money, you can join via the Discord link in my description below. Yeah, just stay tuned on that. So I think there's another podcast there in the future. But Deef, you know, one of the things I was asking Henry is, what are the biggest question marks as it pertains to Leon Black that we want answered? And among them was, he said, no one's looking into Andrew Levander, who is the Detcher lawyer and chairman or partner at Detcher, who did the internal investigation at Apollo about Leon Black's ties to Epstein, despite the fact that Andrew Levander worked with Jeffrey Epstein in an unofficial capacity, but a deep capacity, all the way back in 1982 to hunt down lost funds. That's a whole rabbit hole right there, but you heard me correctly on that. Very interesting that that's the guy they would pick to say there's no wrongdoing here. That's number 1. Number 2, of course, and Henry raised this in the first episode we recorded together. He's like, the Buzzy Krongard thing is weird. Buzzy Krongard obviously was like the chairman, or what was the title? Like the chairman of CIA.
And he was the former executive director.
Of CIA, which like I didn't even realize that was like a title, a thing.
Yeah.
That's one I was unfamiliar with. And he was also very high up in Blackwater, which I think Eric Prince, when he was in here, mentioned him. But, you know, he had like cross-pollination there, and then Eric Prince ended up having to leave Blackwater after that whole thing, being the Blackwater 5 case that happened, that I actually think Sean Ryan did an amazing job going through that entire case with one of his earliest podcasts and going through how those guys were really railroaded. But Eric had to get away from the company, and it was bought by Apollo for like pennies on the dollar, which...
It's convenient.
Yeah, convenient. Kind of interesting right there. And that's also at a point where like Eric Prince of all people has like no leverage. So you're basically giving away this very big company you've built, and a place like Apollo can come in and, you know, take some there. All right, guys, correction. Apollo did not buy what was by then just the remnants of Blackwater that had changed hands and done different partnerships multiple times until 2016. Eric Prince had left the company in 2010 completely, so it was entirely different at that point. And they might have not been the only one. It might have been bought up in shares. I don't remember the details, but that is how it went down. That is in an article we're also going to discuss in a minute, so it'll give the specific details there. But Buzzy Krongard was the second one. Another one was Deutsche Bank, which this is a really overlooked part of the Epstein lore. We always hear about J.P. Morgan, righteously so, with Jeffrey Epstein. But there were some odd connections to Deutsche Bank over the years that I think Henry had told me when he looked into like the biggest clients at the time, that a guy like Leon Black was also a client there, where Jeffrey Epstein was doing business with them. It's like a who's who. And so Henry's going to be doing more work on that. And like I said, that'll probably really be extensively covered in a podcast I do with Henry, hopefully in a month or two, when he's done what he's working on right now. Another thing Henry wanted to ask about is this highly controversial, as it pertains to Leon Black, is this highly controversial Epstein 50th birthday. What is it? Like the 50th birthday
His
letters?
book, yeah.
The book itself. So this, we've talked about this before, but this was a part of a Wall Street Journal report that they put out, I believe, last year, that Donald Trump was very upset about, where they allegedly had this book with a bunch of letters written by friends to Jeffrey Epstein in 2003 for his 50th birthday. Obviously, this was like Donald Trump, Leon Black, a whole bunch of different people in there. And there are people who claim it's fake and other people who claim it's real. It was interesting that the Wall Street Journal is the publication that did this report, because it is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who's also like, you know, obviously conservative and leans that way. And yet it was something that could potentially show some foggy damage for like Donald Trump, which is why he was upset about it. So just as a review right here, can we zoom in on this, Deef, just so I can make sure I see it right?
Yeah.
The validity of Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday book, compiled for him in 2003 by associate Ghislaine Maxwell, is widely accepted as an authentic, genuine historical record of his social and professional network. The physical and electronic collection was handed over to the U.S. House Oversight Committee by Epstein's estate and published as public congressional records. The 238-page scrapbook was subpoenaed directly from Epstein's estate and made public in September 2025. And its editorial origins are that it was compiled by Maxwell. Victims' attorneys and insiders involved in its initial creation have corroborated that the book is an authentic compilation of notes, lewd sketches, and photos from Epstein's inner circle prior to his first conviction, which is also interesting because, again, this is in the same time period where Todd Blanche is going to meet with with Ghislaine Maxwell, in prison. And then she's later transferred to a less high security, if you will, prison on that. And allegedly in the 2-day conversation they had off camera, they being Ghislaine and Todd Blanche, allegedly she was also exonerating Donald Trump of any wrongdoing as it is, which again, like even if that were true, optically, doesn't make sense. Like, she's got every reason to try to exonerate the sitting president of this issue so that she can help her own situation. So, like, you're kind of undercutting yourself there. And those were the main questions Henry wanted to answer. But he also put together ahead of the congressional testimony today, which I'll go over what happened there with Leon Black. He put together all the questions that he would ask of Leon Black, and this was on his great blog, True Hoop, which, can we just make a note to link that in the description so people can see it? I'll link you directly to this. So, questions that if Henry were in the room as a part of the Congressional Committee of Republicans and Democrats that he would have asked. Some highlights include, did you write this letter that appeared in Jeffrey Epstein's birthday book? And what did you mean by, and he lists off some things. So let me start by reading the letter Leon Black allegedly wrote. And Deef, can we just scroll up because we'll have it on the screen for people? This is allegedly from Leon Black, written, again, allegedly in his handwriting. It says, on the occasion of Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday, a VFPC is something to be, a VFPC is something to see, a liver, a lover, a Jeff, a Jeffrey, let's all give a cheer for today, he's 50. 5 decades, L, or half century, by birds and by bucks, C's and M's are his key. Blonde, red, or brunette, spread out geographically. With the net of fish, Jeff's now the old man in the sea. This is dark, bro. Teaching math, trading options, or foreign currency, green eye shades,
schemes and plans,
a unique tax strategy, wet dream, and this is a French word Henry's going to explain in a minute, and cochinaire, an architect's wild spree, Moscow, Paris, Santa Fe, Alhambra, East Jamboree, Maxwellian delight, a mother's treasure, great joy, and most surely, Harvadian patron, brain researcher for extending wannabe, outrageous, iconoclastic, unconventional, spirit-free, best of all, a dear friend. Happy birthday, Jeffrey. Love and kisses, Leon. And he put an asterisk at the bottom that says Vanity Fair poster child, which is what a VFPC is he's referring to. That's didn't know Leon Black had some iambic pentameter in him.
Looks clean to me.
Looks like a clean thing. So, of course, with some of the codes, Henry Abbott wants to know, by birds and by bucks, C's and M's are his key. Blonde, red, or brunette spread out geographically. Are those references to women? What are birds? What are bucks? What are C's? What are M's? These are things that the congressional questioners definitely should have been asking. Wet dream and cauchemar, an architect's wild spree, Moscow, Paris, Santa Fe, Alhambra, East Jamboree. Henry goes on to explain cauchemar is French for nightmare.
Yeah.
What is the nightmare you were referring to? Who is the architect you're referring to? What was the spree? What did you, Leon Black, mean when you signed this love and kisses? Was that a common way for you to sign letters at the time? That's probably like the easiest one for him to answer because it's like probably a joke to a friend in a birthday letter. All these other ones, though, are, I'd say, pretty fucking relevant. Were you ever romantically involved with Jeffrey Epstein? That's just like a fun rim shot. What caused you to bring up Moscow, Paris, Santa Fe, and Alhambra East? Are those places you went to with Jeffrey Epstein? Did you go to Moscow with Jeffrey Epstein? When and what happened there? There's also a picture of Leon Black without, as far as I know, any context from around, I want to say 1996. It was somewhere in the 90s where he's sitting at a table with many other people and Donald Trump at a meeting in Moscow. So, I mean, he probably went to Moscow a bunch, but like, was Epstein on that trip and we just don't know about it? Fair question from Leon Black. Henry Abbott goes on, when you wrote this poem in Epstein's birthday book in 2003, had you known him for a while? Again, that's something we do know I'm going to get to that in a minute. Leon Black claims he met him in 1996. There are reports that he met Epstein as far back as the 80s, and he might be lying about that. So that would be a good spot to like give him a layup of like, okay, you definitely knew him a lot by 2003. Let's go through the history and get that on record. Furthermore, Henry says, Jesse Kornbluth wrote a book about Drexel Burnham Lambert and told Craig Unger that you, quote, spent a lot of time, unquote, with Epstein in the 1980s. Does that sound right? So that would be the follow-up question. And a report commissioned by Apollo Global and the New York Times say you were introduced to Epstein in the 1990s. Can you clear that up? You know, Henry, dude. Henry's got that lawyer dog in him, bro.
He does.
He got that lawyer dog barking in him. For those who don't remember, Henry Abbott, who was on the show, he's a longtime NBA reporter. And I told the whole story before. I don't need to tell it again right now. But like, long story short, he fell into this Epstein story through like the back door of like some owners who were of teams that were connected to Epstein in 2020 and then, or 2019 actually, and then just went all the way with it and has continued with it to this day. So it's amazing work. And right there, you can see a 1, 2, 3. Like, wait a minute. We got a long form relationship that's definitely clear. So let's get you honest about that on the record to start. And now let's go to the record of different claims of when you met him, including some own claims that Leon Black himself had made to see if there's some sort of lie in there or wrong timeline that you can kind of catch him with. And again, they only got to speak with this guy for like an hour today. I'll get to that in a few minutes. So chances are most of these questions were not asked. Henry goes on. He's just getting warmed up. Many people have testified that they didn't see Epstein interact with women. You are different. You called Epstein, quote, a lover, unquote, in writing and discussed several different kinds of women and wet dreams. It's refreshing that it seems we finally have a witness who can testify to the nature of Epstein's relationship with women. What did you witness that caused you to write those things in the birthday book? Damn, he's even got...
That's good.
Yeah, no, that's good. How would you describe the interactions you saw Epstein have with women? Did any of them strike you as inappropriate? And what is, quote, Maxwellian delight, unquote, which is definitely clearly a reference to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Maxwellian delight.
And then he goes, in your $62.5 million settlement with the U.S. Virgin Islands, this did happen, Joey Deef. You, Leon Black, acknowledged that Epstein used the money you paid him to partially fund his operations in the Virgin Islands. When did you come to understand what those operations were? By the way, when he made that settlement, which was in... I have that. That would have been, 1 second, that settlement would have been in
2023. 62 and a half.
So it is 2023 when they settled it?
Yeah, he agreed with them in 2023.
Okay, great.
So it might have started before then.
Excellent. Okay, so we got that. Back to what Henry was saying right here. So when he did that, part of that payment was to ensure future immunity from criminal acts. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting...
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, yeah, it's great stuff. Henry goes on. Senator Ron Wyden wrote you a letter asking if the money you said you paid Epstein for tax services was a quote, pretext for other more nefarious tasks Epstein performed on your behalf. Newly released emails between Epstein and your assistant suggest that Epstein was engaged in unseemly tasks on your behalf that will need to remain unknown. What did you understand Epstein to be referring to when he emailed you that in 2004? Henry goes on once more. Bill Gates recently testified behind closed doors in front of Congress that he thought Epstein tried to blackmail him. Did you ever have the feeling Epstein was trying to blackmail you? To your knowledge, did Epstein's properties contain hidden cameras? Did Epstein ever reference or did you ever observe him holding compromising material on an individual? I mean, this is just gold. This goes on and on and on and on. So we're going to link that down below so you guys can see all the questions he would have asked. But, Deef, let's pull up the article of what happened today, the Politico one right there, where it says full article. Oh. So that's the other one. We're going to come to that in a minute.
Yeah.
There was this is the crazy thing. When this story was still just being like really pushed under the rug in the years since 2020, Puck News did an amazing, I guess, interview that was written about afterwards with Leon Black. That was very revelatory by what he was willing to say and what I would better describe it as what he was clearly seeming to obfuscate on.
Is Puck new? I haven't
It's
heard
newer.
of Puck.
Yeah. You know who was there and then left to go on her own? Was Tara Palmieri.
Oh, there you go.
She went to Puck, I want to say, from Politico before that.
Okay.
And that's how I knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't write this particular story. And this was when she was still there. And I didn't see this when it came out. This was the first time I've seen it. But before we get there, just as a rehash, this is from Politico today, just to give us an idea of what exactly went on. The Oversight Committee slapped Leon Black with 2 subpoenas in the middle of his transcribed interview about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, after Black refused to answer questions about potential non-disclosure agreements he had with women tied to the late convicted sex offender. Oversight Committee Chair James Comer, Republican from Kentucky, announced the issuance of the subpoenas for the NDAs and for Black to reappear for a formal deposition on July 16th after the first hour of Black's interview had concluded, with the billionaire investor insisting he would not discuss the terms of those agreements, those being the NDAs. Did I put something in there about, yes. So I said, what is the nature of the NDAs in question? And this is sourced from the New York Times, The Guardian, Politico, House.gov, and CNN all put together. But the House Oversight Committee's questioning centered on the following key concerns regarding the NDAs. Number one, Epstein's potential involvement. Committee Chairman James Comer stated that lawmakers wanted to uncover whether Jeffrey Epstein was involved in drafting the NDAs, writing the terms, or allocating the funds to women. You're going to hear about the work he did for Leon Black, so it's very possible he could have been involved in all that. The fixer allegations. The committee is investigating claims previously raised by Senate Democrats that Epstein may have acted as a fixer to secure the silence of women who were paid tens of millions of dollars, and then shared accusers. Lawmakers noted that more than one of Epstein's accusers had also previously accused Black of sexual misconduct. Lawmakers are seeking to determine if the NDAs were used to suppress those allegations. I'd say that's all pretty relevant. It's all pretty relevant. So Black had, going back to Politico, Black had initially agreed to appear voluntarily. Again, he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart in the interest of transparency and bringing the truth to the people. Just make sure you don't videotape it or, ask him about those NDAs, right?
Nah.
We believe the information is vital to our investigation, Comer told reporters Friday. We want to know, was Jeffrey Epstein involved in the NDAs? Rep. Robert Garcia, Democrat from California, the top Democrat on the panel, seconded Comer's decision to force a deposition to compel information that he also described as central to the panel's ongoing Epstein probe, a rare moment of bipartisanship in an investigation that has been plagued by partisan bickering. Let's go down, Deef. We'll get back to his lawyer, but more. Let's go down a little farther. Okay, Comer had also asked Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche to speak with his panel in the coming weeks after Bondi accused him of being at the tip of the spear in covering the eventual release of the Epstein files in compliance with the law Congress passed in December. Members will have more to ask to Blanche following a Thursday court ruling. They just tossed this one in here right at the end.
Nice.
Where federal judge said the Justice Department effectively conceded it had been violating the law Congress passed last November requiring the agency to release the vast majority of government records related to Epstein. The judge gave Blanche 1 week to release certain names and other information that was redacted from the files. Otherwise, DOJ must provide a more detailed explanation for why it has not published them, the court order said. You didn't hear anything about that. You didn't really see tweets about that at least went viral in any way. You didn't see big news articles about that, and it's tossed in on the end of this article, which I appreciate Politico at least putting it in there, as a result of Leon Black's separate testimony today, Friday, that ruling happened on Thursday, where the fucking Attorney General of the United States conceded to federal court that they were in violation of a law passed that required them to release the documents. And now they're going to be given a reason, they're going to be given the opportunity to give a reason why that's okay, and a judge will then rule on whether or not that's okay. This To quote my friend Ed Calderon, who was here this past weekend, again, 2 great episodes coming for you, by the way. This is Banana Republic type shit.
They're going to say, Your Honor, there's a war in Iran. How are we going to do that?
Are you a patriot?
Come on.
Your Honor, are you a patriot?
There are ballistics flying over our heads. And you're worrying about some silly Democratic hoax?
That's right.
Oh, dude.
A little bit of rape. Well, we haven't seen that before. That's where we're at, Joe.
Just a little?
That's exact, but that's what they're calling it. They're like, come on.
Yeah.
A little rape.
Well,
what are you going to do?
Well, hey, I wish them good luck the next week. They got 7 days as far as I'm concerned.
They got 7 days.
Actually, 6. It was ruled yesterday.
Well, 5.5 now, Joe.
Clock's ticking. Yeah, clock's
It's Friday
ticking.
night.
Clock's ticking.
I know you got your alarm set.
Oh, dude, yeah.
You'll be looking at 12 p.m. on Thursday.
I will be. And you know what? I'm gonna say, oh, what a surprise.
That's right.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Joe Deef's gonna be wearing his Erica Kirk getup.
Yeah.
Outside
Yep.
with a giant sign saying they lied again.
Yep.
Sound
I might have to band together with her. We're gonna take care of this thing.
That's
me and
right.
her.
You're gonna get
We're
to the
gonna
bottom
get
of
to
it.
the bottom of it.
You're gonna get to the bottom of it. It's quite the tag team right there.
Oh God. All right, what were you saying about Biz or
It's like, let's
something about
get
Biz?
off that one. Deef, what I want you to hit is the one you had ready to go.
Oh yeah, the big one, the
The
puck.
big one.
The puck.
Okay.
Right in the net.
And I gotta take this one on the chin. Like I said a few minutes ago, I did not see this article a couple
is this
years ago
from?
when it
Oh,
came
wow.
out. This is from April 2024.
Wow.
It was sitting right in front of us this entire time.
That's
Joe
how
Deef.
it always goes with this shit.
It's called Leon Black from the Ashes. I see what they did there. That's
good. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a
Good
good one.
copy.
For the first time since his controversial departure from Apollo, Black speaks about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and his tumultuous final year at the firm he created. And also in here, we've talked about this before, but his co-founder, Josh Harris, one of the 2 younger founding partners who Leon Black had a falling out with, allegedly over the Epstein thing, where Josh Harris was trying to take the stand to push Black out in 2020 after his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein came open, which I gave Josh Harris credit for publicly, only to find out that he also had a little relationship with Jeffrey Epstein as well that he didn't want people to know about until, of course, the files came out. Also a terrible sports owner, by the way. I'm a big Sixers fan. He owns the fucking team down there. We all want him to sell it. But neither here nor there, so I rescinded any of that previous whatever credit that I gave him. But Henry Abbott was telling me there's also, like, in the files, I got to look at this more, but there's like a weird requested $2.4 million payment involving Harris and Epstein.
Nice.
As well.
That's probably clean.
Yeah, maybe some of you guys out there can give some context in the comments with a link. So I got to look at that more, but I know Henry's on that as well. But this article is written by William D. Cohan. I'm saying that right?
Yeah.
Cohan.
I don't think it's Cohen. It's Cohan.
Cohan, right?
Yeah, William D. Cohan.
Cohan's kind of hard. You know?
It's like Cole Haan.
Yeah, Cohan. All right. On a recent afternoon, Leon Black and I were sitting in his family office, Elysium. Damn it, that's such a hard name. Elysium Partners.
Yeah.
Joe, do you know what this is behind me?
The Elysium.
That's Elysium.
Yeah.
He fucking took Maximus, bar for bar, word for word.
They know what they're doing. They're intellectuals. Sitting
in his family office, Elysium Partners, on the top floor of a nondescript building on Park Avenue near 57th Street. He said he chose the space not for the building's architecture, but rather because it was a big wraparound balcony that was lovely in the warmer months.
Oh, how nice.
We were having a light lunch along with his PR team of deli sandwiches, making small talk before engaging in the matter at hand, discussing how Black's extraordinary career had been upended by a seemingly inexplicable relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this is a nice little review of Leon Black's backstory that we have discussed at length in some of these episodes before, so we'll read this paragraph. Prior to 2019, of course, Black had enjoyed one of the most charmed runs in the history of finance. Always seemed to be in the right place at the right time. The descendant of a long line of Orthodox rabbis, he attended Fieldstone Dartmouth, and Harvard Business School, survived the harrowing suicide of his father, who took a header off the Pan Am building, who was also an Orthodox rabbi, who became an immensely successful corporate CEO before jumping to his death during Leon's second year at Harvard. And then Leon became head of M&A at Drexel Burnham Lambert, the hard-charging investment bank that was famously brought to ruin by the misdeeds of Michael Milken, the genius creator of the junk bond market. From the ashes of the Drexel implosion in 1990, Leon started Apollo Global Management along with several other Drexel alumni and became one of the true pioneers of what we now call alternative asset management, a powerful combination of private equity and private credit that has spawned a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Leon's gone from Apollo, but he's still its largest shareholder, thanks in large part to his roughly 93 million Apollo shares and a world-class art collection along with other trophy assets, making his net worth these days around $14 billion. Not missing any meals.
Not bad.
Not too bad, Leon. He's hanging in there. But he rattled off the names that hung out with Epstein at one time or another, including Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Mort Zuckerman, Reid Hoffman, Tom Pritzker, Jess Staley, Noam Chomsky, so on and so on, all seemingly doing just fine, according to Leon.
I like this too. Who would you have dinner
Right. He loved having dinner. He then paused. He did the dramatic pause. You just picture him up on this balcony of the elites in Manhattan where he's like, this guy was friends, that guy was friends. Pause for dramatic effect. I'm not in any way, shape, or form defending Jeffrey. Glad to hear that on the record, Leon. I'm defending me. I don't believe any of those guys knew that Jeffrey was a pedophile. Not one of them. And I certainly didn't. I thought he was a fascinating guy. So yes, I spent time with him. I'd go up, have lunch or breakfast with him because I lived 2 blocks from him. It was right on the way, you know? Jeez. And we would talk about tax and estate planning and financial things. That's all they talked about. This guy, Jeffrey Epstein, who literally, according to testimony of everyone who was ever around him, needed to have sex or,
It was sex or biz, dude.
Needed to...
That's how he rolled.
Orgasm, what was it, like 14 times a day? I'm sure the only thing these guys ever discussed when he clearly saw him all the time was financial planning. Anyway, or, Leon continued, he would go to Epstein's house and have dinner with him and people he knew, such as Woody Allen and Dick Cavett, or even Steve Bannon. Nice. Everybody looks at it through the lens of, this is public enemy number 1 for being a pedophile, Black told me, referring to the author of the article. He was smart. And I thought he performed services for a bunch of his associates, yes. And he was a bit offbeat and counterculture and eccentric, yes. He then reiterated the points that have since been examined, sometimes opaquely in the media, in the Apollo boardroom, and in an external investigation by an independent law firm, which we already mentioned wasn't too independent. That he never had anything to do with Epstein's criminal or prurient activities, that he merely shared personal information with Epstein about his family, specifically his children, in order to obtain Epstein's help in reconfiguring their trusts and their inheritances after clashing with his previous tax attorney, a partner at a major Wall Street firm. Epstein, he continued, redesigned the trust to satisfy the needs and whims of each of Black's 4 children, meaning he was asking questions like, who was ambitious? Who cared about money? Who didn't? If they had issues, he explained. So how I deal with that in the will, meaning he's looking at Jeffrey Epstein to be a psychologist of his own family and trusting him with making clear judgments on the standing in the will of his own 4 children, okay? That's not just like an advisor. That's someone, that's like...
It's an intimate relationship.
That's an intimate relationship, no pun intended there. That's someone that you trust immensely, or Joey Deef, you just gotta,
or
you don't even gotta put on tinfoil for this one. I know you're readjusting your sniper hat over there.
Yeah, my Kirk cap.
That's right. But or because you're forced to.
Well, go with the latter on that one, sir.
I might go on the ladder with that one. Our recent conversation marked the first time, if we can scroll down, that Leon has publicly discussed his affiliation with Epstein since leaving Apollo in March 2021. Shortly after Epstein's apparent suicide in August 2019, a series of damaging articles came out, yada, yada, yada. And Black responded by urging a special committee of the Apollo board to hire a law firm to investigate his association with Epstein. It chose Andrew Levander, who we mentioned that Henry Abbott's been doing work on, at Detchert for the job. And even though the law firm cleared him of any wrongdoing, it revealed that he did even more business than previously known with Epstein. Apollo's large limited partners, such as CalPERS, expressed concerns, or at least some of Black's younger general partners wanted to oust him and to begin planning for a new Apollo without Leon. Their conclusion, Black had to go. And this is where, if you scroll down, he mentions snarkily, he refers to Josh Harris, who I mentioned as Saint Josh, who had orchestrated the coverage of him in the media in conjunction with Steve Rubenstein, one of Apollo's PR gurus, to try to force him out. Leon later filed a RICO lawsuit targeting both Harris and Rubenstein, among others, claiming they conspired against him. And by the way, this did end with Josh Harris leaving Apollo Global and starting his own place as a result of all this. Mark Rowan ended up taking over. But the location of our chat at his family office was fitting, given the work he and Epstein engaged in. And so I asked Leon what he was thinking when, in 2006, this guy he had known for a decade at least, was once on the board of his family foundation with whom he had discussed the nuances of his children's personalities, was suddenly being investigated by state and federal prosecutors for pedophilia and ended up in jail. I took it seriously, he told me, which is a direct admission that he was fully aware of this back during the time of the investigation. But I didn't take it that seriously. Nah, a little pedophilia. When in Rome, right? I mean, and I'm continuing the quote here, he was with a 17-year-old prostitute, got prosecuted for it, got put away for a year. And as you know, according to him, even that person had shown an ID that she wasn't underage. My feeling is there are serious things and there are things that are less serious. I didn't think this was the end of the world, frankly. I'm always, Deef, one thing over the years, not always, but like 3 out of 4 times I'll hear someone for emphasis use the word frankly somewhere.
Yeah.
There's usually a little bit of coverage going on there.
Oh, I can't speak on that. I like frankly.
I
like frankly and not for nothing.
When people throw it on to like the end of a sentence, though.
Yeah.
Where it's dead space, it didn't need to be said.
Yeah. It's a little salt.
That's something I see. He then relates this to Michael Milken, who went to jail for like a little bit of fraud, which, to be clear, a lot less serious than being a pedo, in my book at least, despite that also being a bad crime. He mentioned staying close with Alfred Taubman, the former Sotheby's owner who was convicted of price fixing, and Martha Stewart, who had insider trading. He's like, we're still friends. They all went to jail. I didn't think being with a 17-year-old prostitute who said she had proof she was over 17 was that big a deal. And this is where it gets complicated. That's his quote. Again, there were what, like 52 accusers that were silenced in that?
Yeah,
that were all like fucking 12
so
to 14?
Yeah.
Some sweetheart deal. Let's keep going. Go down a little more, Deef. I wanna skip some of this. So he goes through the nature of the relationship, but I'm going to summarize some of this rather than reading it. Essentially, what Leon says is that especially in 2013, 2014, which is long after that birthday letter, by the way, where he said, what hugs and kisses at the end? Yeah,
love and kisses.
Love and kisses. He mentions that Epstein figured out that there was, this 300 to 400 million. I'm trying not to get too financially here, but that would be paid out to him if he didn't set it up correctly. And there was some sort of tax loophole that he could find to help Leon save money. I'm skipping a bunch of stuff here, but very long story short, that would then lead to Leon saving a ton of money that Jeffrey Epstein asked for a percentage of, meaning like a finder's fee on money that you wouldn't have saved without me, to which Leon Black said, no, I'll just pay you like 27 million here and 10 million there and 12 million here for fees that ended up between the years, I believe, 2012 and 2017, adding up to like $170 million. And actually, this was one place in the article where I actually, if I'm going to be fair, have to steelman something that I've heavily criticized in the past. I talked about in a previous episode at least once, someone with a 10 to $14 billion estate obviously is a big estate, but anyone paying $170 million to an estate advisor in that period, like, you better be a trillionaire.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk. It's a lot of money. However, again, I'm always going to go where the evidence is to at least point out the possibilities. I'm not saying this is what it is, but I have to point this out. If, in fact, Epstein wanted a percentage of money that he was saving, and he was saving money in the hundreds of millions of dollars, then maybe he could get up towards a B, because he, as you'll see in this article, he started also advising Black on how to hide money through artwork, which is a whole fucking scam. We really got to do a podcast on
that's
that.
a really good one.
It's crazy. Like, he was saving him a lot of different money, and he wanted a cut of it. He wanted, the marketing cut, whatever it was, maybe 20%. Leon Black, hypothetically, if you do the math here, probably paid him less money than what that cut was, paying him $170 million over a 5-year period. What's 170 divided by 5? Like,
that's like 35
million, something
like that.
It starts to make a little more sense. But again,
34, yeah.
Why do you have to work with Epstein? That question doesn't get answered. Why is he with him all the time? Why does he have such a close relationship? Why does he deny, as he did in his testimony today, that he ever knew about anything with Epstein with women, when very clearly he was making hardcore references to it in a love letter poem for his birthday back in 2003? All that shit doesn't get cleared up. Also, if Jeffrey Epstein found some of these things, why did other advisors of his not find it? And again, this is where I gotta, check the knowledge of these types of financial situations. This is above my pay grade, to be clear here. But in reading the details as it's written in this article, it doesn't feel like Jeffrey Epstein reinvented the fucking wheel. And I mean, even like, I worked in a totally different part of Wall Street when I was on there. But like, I knew so many people who were so aware of different tax structures and loopholes and being able to do it in a legalized way for ultra high net worth people. I just can't imagine you'd have to deal with the college dropout who's always around fucking women that may or may not look underage. There's nothing in here that answers that question. But continuing on in the article, according to Leon's recollection, Epstein urged him to take his ideas to Leon's other law firms to see not only if they agreed with his assessments, but also if they would work more cheaply than Epstein. Leon did that, he told me, and his various lawyers agreed that Epstein's proposed solution would work, that his fee was reasonable, all things considered. There was a meeting with Epstein where he raised it as a solution. According to a person familiar with the situation, his proposal was vetted by lawyers and discussed with Leon, and there was a decision that was made in consultation with others at the family office, and then it was documented in an agreement drafted by Bari Weiss, the law firm. And then the author says, I'm told no one has questioned the legality of Epstein's solution for Leon, including Ron Wyden, the U.S. Senator from Oregon and chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, who has made a passion project in recent years of publicly highlighting and questioning the tax avoidance schemes of billionaires, including Leon. But, maybe he's an untouchable. So after solving Leon's tax and estate problems and having gained Leon's trust and confidence, he was clever, he said. All legal, very clever, referring to Epstein. Epstein started advising Leon on how he could improve the operation of Elysium, his family office, how to buy his artworks, jets, and yachts in a more tax-advantaged way, and how to make transfers between financial entities. This is the part where Leon Black says it was complicated, threading needles. Epstein was ubiquitous. And this is where it all gets into the price, so I went through that. We can skip that, Deef. Let's go down a little more. So, according to Leon, he first met Epstein in 1996. This is him saying it on the record. This is on a public record in an interview with this author, which, again, going back to Henry Abbott's proposed line of questioning, you'd have to make him corroborate this, and then you might be able to prove he met him earlier. which then would mean he'd be lying on the record. So if they get to ask him that on video on July 16th, we might be able to get a perjury there. Leon says he met Epstein in 1996 at the suggestion of Elliot Skip Stein, an old friend and Wall Street polymath. Leon, Stein, and Epstein had lunch together at China Grill, which used to be at the corner of 53rd Street and 6th Avenue on the ground floor of BlackRock, the old headquarters of CBS. I think is that a different BlackRock? It's spelled and capitalized the same way.
It's probably BlackRock now.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Funny.
He said there was no purpose to the get-together. None at all. Skip just said Epstein had a circle of very interesting friends and was very engaging. At the time, Epstein was a trustee of Rockefeller University, appointed by no less than David Rockefeller himself, and was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. Epstein was hanging out with friends that were heads of state, such as Israeli leader Ehud Barak, who was not even prime minister yet at the time, by the way, and Nobel laureates, as well as an acclaimed academicians and noted philanthropists, Leon said. A year after the China Grill lunch, Leon appointed Epstein to be a trustee of his family foundation, which struck me, the author, as a rather intimate act for someone he barely knew. Why had he done that? First, Leon wanted me to know that his foundation board, quote, didn't do anything. I don't think we ever even had one meeting. So why do you need someone on the board anyway? Why do you give it to him, right? Having said that, he continued, Epstein really understood tax very well and had told Leon he worked with many other prominent families on tax and estate matters. Although that was a boast, Leon told me he couldn't confirm directly because of privacy and confidentiality issues. So he just took this Coney Island motherfucker at his word. He did know that Epstein had worked at Bear Stearns for a few years and remained friendly with Jimmy Kane and Ace Greenberg, the top two Bear executives who apparently vouched for Epstein's intelligence. This rang true to me. Greenberg recruited Epstein to Bear Stearns, which we covered before, after he met him at Dalton School, where he had taught one of Ace's children. Jimmy occasionally told me about Epstein when I was interviewing him for my book in 2009, House of Cards. This is the author speaking right now. Epstein was, quote, an intriguing figure, unquote, Leon recalled. He was almost like James Bond villain. Uses the word villain. Because all his staff were good-looking women. Not underage, he emphasizes, but good-looking. The one time he flew on Epstein's jet, he says, up to Boston along with two of his 4 children to visit Harvard and MIT as part of the requisite college admissions circuit, his pilot was a beautiful girl with blonde hair down to her waist in a black turtleneck, Leon said. That's why I say like a James Bond villain. He told me he assumed Epstein's money came from trading and advising other wealthy individuals. And then it starts talking about where this all came down in 2019. Let's keep going. And everyone starts coming in on Leon, uncovering everything. Basically, Leon schedules the board meeting in 2020 in emergency capacity to investigate himself, full-blown vibes of the CIA investigated itself about crack in Los Angeles and found no wrongdoing. And he reiterates that Apollo never worked with Epstein. Let's keep going. And then it goes through this Detchert report, which we're going to do a deeper dive on. That is Andrew Levander, the person who he himself had worked with Epstein back in 1992. And, he found no wrongdoing in 60,000 pages or something like that, and said they looked through all his texts and everything. But Joey Deef did his own little looking through texts before we got on air and kind of contradicts what this very powerful law firm said, which is that there was nothing, to quote Howard Lutnick, untoward going on or code words or anything like that. They said that absolutely none of that was between whatever they looked at in the communications of Leon Black or people around him and Jeffrey Epstein. But Deef, I know you got this.
Yeah, that's not necessarily the case.
It's not.
It's not. There's multiple code words that we could look at here.
Color me shocked. What do we got, Joey?
Let's bring some of them up. Well, first one being things that will need to remain unknown.
Who would ever say that?
In a 2014 email, Epstein told Black, there is little I won't do for you, or at least try to do as a friend, and a great deal that I have already done, parentheses, both known and some things that will need to remain unknown. Investigators have specifically asked Black what he understood this to mean. And I'm sure we got a great answer.
I'll bet it was very creative.
The other one being Leon/L, the reporting on Epstein's correspondence with women in his orbit, including Russian women, one specifically named Irina Chernova and others, notes that they often referred to Leon or L, which Senator Wyden believes refers to Black, a designation used in messages discussing money, visits, gifts.
And what's that third one in quotes? Gifts.
Gifts. Quote unquote.
They had some
gifts.
fucked up gifts in this orbit. You do have to put that out there.
Yep.
What else we got?
Another one is saving you from yourself. This one was from ABC. In a 2017 email, Epstein described his relationship with Black as, quote, saving you from yourself, end quote. Language investigators see as ambiguous and possibly euphemistic about what Epstein held over him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
That's a great one.
Another good one is just, I mean, this is a simple one, but in more than 300 times in the files, we see a please call Leon Black or a Leon Black returned your call. So
300 times.
Lots of correspondence.
Yeah, those are the ones that they actually wrote out, too.
Yeah.
You know, not the ones that, I mean, he was only 2 blocks away, Joey Deef.
Yeah, they could send a paper boy.
Right.
They probably did. They probably had paper boys.
They probably had paper boys right there for sure.
God, that's dark.
That's, yeah.
But it doesn't look good for Leon.
It does
Doesn't
not.
look good for Leon.
Also, I forgot one detail too. This is also going right back
What's
to
that?
Henry Abbott's long time pounding the table. Please look at this. But can we Google Jay Clayton real fast? Just
Should
get
I
his
even-
latest job description.
Yeah.
This is the guy who just slithers his way into many places. He was just named something by Trump.
Let's pull him right up. A nomination.
Go to the top. United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Where was Jeffrey Epstein being tried?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jay Clayton has some long-standing ties. We'll say around. Pure spec here. Around the Jeffrey Epstein situation. And ironically, going back to that Puck News article, as part of his resignation as CEO, his being Leon Black, Apollo announced that Leon would remain chairman of the Apollo board of directors as he remained the firm's largest shareholder. You got shares, you got power. That arrangement lasted for about 2 more months. On March 22nd, 2021, Rowan succeeded Leon as CEO, and Leon stepped down as chairman of the board. You want to guess who replaced him?
Who was it? Enlighten me.
Jay Clayton, the former chairman of the SEC, which was also another job he previously held, and Sullivan and Cromwell attorney, which, oh my God. Wait a second, Deef. Can you Google Sullivan and Cromwell Dulles? I think I'm thinking of the wrong one. I just got to make sure. Oh my God, I'm not thinking of the wrong one. The Dulles brothers, John Foster and Allen, were powerhouse partners at the Wall Street law firm Sullivan and Cromwell before shaping U.S. foreign policy during the 1950s and whacking a sitting United States president in 1963. Neither here nor there, though. Their time at the firm blended corporate law with covert global intelligence, fundamentally connecting Wall Street interests with American foreign relations. Can you Google one more thing for me, Joseph DeFilippis?
Yeah, what do
I'm
you
really
want?
going to lose it if this fucking shows up. Can you Google Sullivan, what's it, Sullivan and Cromwell?
Yeah.
Treaty of Versailles? Please, no. Please don't tell me they were there. The connection between the law firm Sullivan and Cromwell and the Treaty of Versailles rests primarily on John Foster Dulles, who later served as President Eisenhower's Secretary of State, a prominent corporate attorney, and eventually the managing partner at Sullivan and Cromwell. Dulles helped draft critical financial reparations portions of the treaty during the 1919 Paris Peace Conference. Was he can we ask anything right there? Was he a member of Sullivan and Cromwell at the time? Yeah, perfect. Oh, fire me up. I don't know if he was. Yes, he was a member of Sullivan and Cromwell during the 1919 Paris Peace. You can't make this shit up. Oh my God, you can't make this shit up. So, as a refresher, the Treaty of Versailles at the end of World War I set the course for World War II to happen. Because Germany, who was at fault in World War I, was fucked so far up the ass by the Treaty of Versailles that within a couple years of that being signed, they were burning Deutschmarks for fire on the streets. And then, somehow, some way, in the mid-20s, it didn't get great over there, but enough had recovered because there was such a boom around the world that, like, people weren't starving anymore in Germany. So a guy like Hitler couldn't quite rise to power even when he came out of prison. But then the 1929 crash conveniently happens, crashes the whole global economy. Everyone goes back to being the dirt poor. And then you get the rise of Hitler, and you get World War II, and every fucking thing that came with that. And once again, Devil's Chessboard, amazing book by Talbot, highlights all this and explains how the Dulles brothers, in particular John Foster Dulles on this one, on the early part with the Treaty of Versailles, was at the center of that, working on behalf of Woodrow Wilson and the United States government to create this whole problem. Also, it created the failed League of Nations. You know, that was the first attempt at a UN, which isn't doing so hot these days either. But you get the point. It all comes back to this stuff. And now, fast forward all the way, you got Jay Clayton, long time around a lot of things, weird financy, working right at this firm and succeeding Leon Black as chairman of the board, and is now the Southern District of New York United States Attorney as appointed by Donald J. Trump, whose administration is overseeing the release of these files or the not releases of a lot of these files. It's a George Carlin moment for the billionth time on this show, Joey Deef.
Yep.
But again, to correct the late, great George Carlin, it's a little club, and you and I ain't in it. It's not that big a club. Jay Clayton gets to be another Forrest Gump in the fucked up version of Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
You know?
Mentally, too.
Can we Google that? When did Jay Clayton step down? Because obviously he's in government now. He can't be chair of the board. When did Jay Clayton step down as chairman of the board of Apollo? Because he stepped in 2021, March 22nd, 2021. I feel like we got to do some more work on Jay. I'm going to talk to Henry about that. I know he's in on that. Yeah, he officially stepped down as chairman of the board at Apollo Global on April 21st, 2025. He resigned to assume the role of interim U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. He got the call.
Got the call. They hit him on his celly.
He got the call. They hit the celly, and that hotline bling. Too much for him to pass up, right?
Yeah. It's
now,
all bullshit.
I had also looked up, and this is just what Google spit out at me as, Google AI, take that as you will, with 3 just highlights of like some abuse or assault allegations that have been made against Leon Black, including 3 civil lawsuits, and these are what they laid out. The Gazelle Ganeva lawsuit, a former model and Russian immigrant alleged that Black subjected her to years of gender-motivated violence, sexual harassment, and forced sadistic sexual acts beginning in 2008. The lawsuit was dismissed, though, by New York State Supreme Court Justice in 2023, who ruled that Ganeva's claims were invalidated by a 2015 non-disclosure agreement she signed. A state appeals court subsequently affirmed the dismissal and rejected her follow-up defamation claims in January 2025. 2015 is when Jeffrey Epstein's working for Leon Black very heavily and still a free man out there and alive. Probably still alive today, statistically speaking, just under an assumed identity. And no,
Palm Beach Pete?
I don't think it's Palm. I know Matan's really hung up on that. And he's very cringe.
I just love the people in the comments of the Instagram post.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you should all lose your license.
Yes. Yes. Google also gave me the Sherry Pearson lawsuit in 2022. A woman filed a lawsuit accusing Black of brutally R-wording her in 2002 at Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan townhouse when she was 16. It was discontinued, the lawsuit, with prejudice, voluntarily dropped by the plaintiff in February 2024. I love to see who knocked on her door. Said, hey, hun.
Men in Black?
Hey, hun.
Here's 2.2 milli. It's more than you'll ever see in your whole life.
Yep. And she's like, 2 mil, that's all I need.
You like your dog? Pure spec. This is all
it's
pure
just
spec.
specking.
This is to the future judge watching this. This is just speculation. None of this happened. It's satire. I'm just saying, satirically speaking, you're going to go away, right?
Yep. I won't do a thing. Just give me that 2 mil.
That's right. No, you don't even want it, but I'm making you take it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah, just give me the 2 mil.
Jane Doe lawsuit was the third one in 2023. We've talked about this before. An autistic woman with mosaic Down syndrome filed a federal lawsuit alleging Black R-worded, assaulted, and severely injured her at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse in 2002, a year before that birthday letter when she was 16. So let's just review that. Autistic Down syndrome underage assault alleged. The case remains pending in federal court, though the plaintiff's original law firm was sanctioned by a judge over certain evidence handling in April 2026. Interesting. Pure spec. That's all speculation. But again, we've referenced that one before. If that is in fact true, that of all the allegations I have seen in the Epstein case, that could be the darkest.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that is, I don't think, when you get into this conversation of what's darker than what,
We've
already
you
lost.
can't even do that.
It's all bad.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen the code words in the email that could be referring to things that now we can't even take off the table anymore. You know what I'm talking about. That's like, how beyond... And I don't say this to make this comedic at all either, but I'm saying like how far beyond the most ridiculous South Park parody have we reached? You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I want to get the video of the Congresswoman there. You'll see it in that section of links. Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari walked out of the hearing today, which actually, while you're pulling that up, Deef, right above it, we have footage of Leon Black walking out.
All right, let me see.
So it's below the Henry Abbott. Yeah, here we go. Let's get that full screen real quick. So this is Leon Black leaving in, I don't know, a perp walk-ish kind of thing today. It's him leaving the hearing that he voluntarily came to out of the goodness of his heart.
Comply with the subpoenas.
Will you comply with the subpoenas he's being asked? He ain't saying nothing. Tight-lipped. Big guy.
Kind of looks like Paolo Zampoli.
Yeah, wow. Striking
Look at this,
resemblance.
like the profile.
Yeah,
Kind of looks like him.
he does. He does. Good call, Joe Deef. But right after this, Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari, who I'm going to be honest, I was unfamiliar with her. I don't really know anything about her, but she just was reacting to the testimony. I felt like this was a nice 1 minute summary. So let's get this.
Oh, we got the committee over and over again. But today was even different than that. Leon Black was arrogant. He was smug. He refused to answer the questions, but at the same time was emphasizing how he was being transparent because this was voluntary. But when pressed on critical questions about his own sexual abuse and the allegations against him and non-disclosure agreements, he absolutely refused to answer these questions. I'm so grateful that he will be returning under oath. That's how every single one of these should be, under oath in a public hearing in front of the American people, videotaped. We need full transparency for the survivors as well as for the American public. And finally, I want to bring it back to Todd Blanche and the fact that Todd Blanche is currently going through the process that Donald Trump has nominated him to be the Attorney General. Leon Black should have been investigated by Donald Trump's Department of Justice. We have enough evidence mentioned over 8,000 times in the Epstein files. So it is absolutely critical that the Senate do not confirm Donald Trump's former personal attorney, Todd Blanche, to be the next Attorney General of the United States. This cover-up has to end immediately.
Listen, again, optically speaking here, given Pam Bondi's testimony that she gave about Todd Blanche's involvement in the investigation, and given the fact that it has now been reported that the New York Times article we went over in full detail for 95 minutes a couple weeks ago is apparently based on the fact that they obtained secret recordings from the fucking Situation Room, meaning they have the primary source, and that is where they're getting the direct quotes from, you know, where in there it's reportedly said that Todd Blanche was effectively running this investigation from the beginning, Todd Blanche being the former personal attorney for Donald Trump. You know, the conflict of interest is insane. And like, even if there's nothing wrong there, and it certainly feels like there is, to be very clear, you know, find someone else to be attorney general. This is just going to open up questions that you don't want to have. And Todd Blanche has been cringe at every aspect of this investigation. And I will say this, as that New York Times report did show, Joey Deef, Todd Blanche asked to go on Joe Rogan and was denied. So, again, good on Joe for denying that. I'll leave that there. But Rep. Dave Min also came out and said today's oversight interview with Leon Black was a voluntary interview, and he incredibly claimed that he had zero contact with women through Epstein and that he knew nothing about any sex trafficking, which Dave Min calls complete horse shit. But when we started asking questions about the non-disclosure agreements he made a number of women and girls sign, he stopped answering questions, and the GOP majority responded by actually doing the right thing and issuing subpoenas to him then and there to turn over all NDAs to appear in a sworn deposition later this summer. Nice to see some bipartisan actual credit going on there. I appreciate that, and good call on James Comer, at least. Again, you got to take the smallest little wins here and see if they actually do something with it. But as a good first step, we are now going to get some video testimony on July 16th. And if it ends up being a fucking dog and pony show, we will be the first to call it out here and say it was all a lie. Anyway, billionaire investor Leon Black said Friday that this is from PBS, that Jeffrey Epstein deceived him during a years-long relationship in which he paid the disgraced financier $158 million, but insisted he committed no criminal wrongdoing as he appeared before the House Oversight Committee. Black, in his testimony, allegedly said, "I knew Jekyll, but I didn't know Hyde." I want to know which attorney came up with that.
What a classic, dude.
They're sitting, Joey Deef, just picture this. They're sitting on, you know, I don't know, maybe the rooftop of his
They're
New
at
York.
Elysium Partners. They're at the nice little thing. He
They're back at Elysium. They're having lunch last Saturday.
Finger sandwiches.
Little finger sandwiches, just like 2024. Little Kung Pao meeting. Every lawyer's making fucking $10,000 an hour at this meeting, which is nothing to this guy worth $14 billion. And they're like, all right, we need a nice visual. These guys, these congressmen, they like visuals. They're politicians. Who's someone that's a real oh my God.
They're like, oh, I knew the yin, I didn't know the yang.
That's
They're
right.
like, nah.
That's right.
You just said that because we're at the China place. Yeah, you're right. We need something else.
We need something else. Doctors, they go around. I'll bet it was an associate. He was just waiting for his moment. His kid's being paid.
He's like, sir. They were like, you bet if you don't say something great right now, I'm shoving these chopsticks up your ass.
Up your ass.
And he's like, okay, well.
You want to go to Mr. Purple tonight on me?
Sir, I knew Jekyll. I just didn't know Dr. Hyde.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
They're like, you are.
Who hired Mos Def?
They're like,
Who
you
hired
are pond scum. You are an idiot, and we love it.
We love it. Here's an extra $100,000. Have fun tonight.
Bang.
That's how it went down. Pure spec.
Yeah. No, I'm certain that's not pure spec.
That's not pure spec. Joey Deef saying that's
not. Take me
not.
to court on that
For
one.
me, that's pure spec.
No, it's pure spec.
But, you know.
You can take me to court on that one.
Highest level of biz going on. The final thing I do want to see right there is, first of all, I do think I should clear this up because I said this earlier. I mentioned 3 of the 5 that were paid to Epstein's accountant, but just the full list is the Rothschilds, like I said, Les Wexner, like I said, Leon Black, like I said, but also Glenn Dubin and Steven Sinofsky. Dubin is one, I keep saying we're going to go look at Glenn and Eva Dubin and some of the stuff there. We do have to do that. We owe that to you guys out there. We haven't done that one yet. There's so much here.
Yeah, there's so much.
There's always new fucking information flying at us. So we got to take a look at that. But can we just pull up the Comer Reacts clip? Oh, you already got it. No, that's not it. Sorry. I gave you the other
This one, yeah.
Yep. So I just want to play the first minute and a half of this. We got to turn up the volume on the board, Deef, because this one's lower than Yasemin's was. But this is Rep. James Comer coming out right after he threw those subpoenas at Leon Black, which led him to storm out of this voluntary hearing. So this is the committee chairperson's reaction. That's a small little paper right there.
We have concluded our first hour, the majority hour of the deposition with Leon Black. I have just issued 2 subpoenas to Mr. Black, one for all the NDAs that he is party to, and second for a deposition on July 16th.
July.
This is a result of refusing to answer specific questions about the NDAs and the terms. We believe that information is vital to our investigation. I will remind everyone that Mr. Black came in voluntarily, but they are refusing to disclose that. So I have issued the subpoena, and we are handing it to him as we speak.
The subpoena is for him to appear again?
To appear for a deposition. And for the NDAs.
So they want to get those NDAs. That's on the record. There it is.
The subpoena is in hand at this second. It was delivered as I was walking out the door.
And I mean, what prompted this? I know you said that he's not answering questions.
What prompted this is what she's asking.
Saying he has no information to share, or he's saying he doesn't want to give up?
His response was that he wasn't allowed to discuss the terms of the NDAs. The
Not allowed to
NDAs are
discuss.
between him and other women. We want to know, was Jeffrey Epstein involved in the NDAs? Was he involved in writing? Was he involved in awarding funds to the women for the NDAs?
Okay, let's pause it right
what
there,
was
Joey
the-
Deef. If we have some lawyers out there watching this, this is way above my pay grade now, so maybe you guys can step in and help us all out. What is the legality of looking into a civilly settled NDA where parties to that investigation are at least listed publicly or according to the official record as dead, meaning Jeffrey Epstein, and therefore does that open up a legal pathway to being able to actually disclose those NDAs as it's prescient to a bigger criminal investigation for a person who is now, again, air quotes there, listed as deceased? Meaning it would supersede Leon Black's quote unquote right to privacy, if that's even what it is, that he would have signed for an NDA. Joey Deef finds, and this is from Google, but again, I'd really like some lawyers to weigh in here. Death does not automatically void an NDA. Contractual obligations usually pass to the decedent's estate or legal successors. However, an NDA cannot legally block you from reporting a crime. If the information is tied to an active criminal investigation, you have a solid legal pathway to disclose it. And I would imagine that pathway is powered when you have a literal section of the federal government requesting it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have a nice curveball for it, but logically speaking, sounds clean.
It sounds pretty clean to me. But again, let's get some lawyers in the comments there. If you can add something to that as well, let me know. And guys out there who aren't lawyers, go look for those comments and give those upvotes so that that gets up in the algo as well, because there's like thousands of comments on a lot of these videos, so I don't want to get that lost if someone's giving great information. But you heard it mentioned a little bit ago where we were talking about how Bill Gates very quietly testified off camera behind closed doors. This was a few weeks ago now. We haven't even gotten to it. We haven't even, and you know what? That's on me. It was in there, and then I never fucking got to it. But he said publicly, because again, they did reveal when they walked out, similar to what you saw right there, what was said in there, they being the people on the committee, that many in New York business circles have obviously said it for years. Bill Gates seemed to confirm that Epstein blackmailed many of the world's wealthiest men, and he operated like Russian intelligence, gathering compromat throughout his network, which is just a visual. It's not saying he was Russian intelligence, which, that's not where he was working. But, he definitely could have done work on a lot of different intelligence agencies, including them. But to make him sound like a Russian asset would be insane. But the visual there is great because of the word compromat, and that's a famous word from the Cold War that, Russian KGB would get on people to blackmail them and get information over them. So the fact that Bill Gates is in such a corner that he feels like he has to say this, when you then have someone like Leon Black, who's trying to say he knew nothing about what Epstein was doing, despite the fact that I would argue Leon Black was even a lot closer with Epstein than Bill Gates was. Sure. I could prove that mathematically. Yeah. Just by what we know about meetings with him. And I would say Bill Gates knew him quite well, to be clear. It just makes testimony like what Leon Black might be trying to claim there ring very, very hollow. There was also another story that went under the radar involving Zorro Ranch. Now we've broken down the New Mexico thing and the weird eugenics society that Jeffrey Epstein was allegedly trying to make because he thought that his DNA was just so superior and all this other bullshit. And you've heard, trying to think, you've heard Chris Hansen talk about victims he's spoken with who woke up on operating tables at Zorro Ranch. Yep. Which, if that doesn't send a chill down your spine, I don't know what will. We've heard victims like Annie Farmer and her sister Maria Farmer talk about Zorro Ranch over the years. There were reports that Bill Clinton was at Zorro Ranch, and there's certain evidence that says that he can be placed there. I don't know if that's officially confirmed, so I'll say pure spec, but certainly looks interesting. And there were other notable people who I can't remember off the top of my head that have been placed there by victims and other witnesses. But this article is actually from June 9th. So again, this was a couple weeks ago. This is more than a couple weeks ago. This is one we hadn't gotten to. But a Democratic political strategist was flabbergasted on Tuesday after new reporting indicated that the Jeffrey Epstein scandal had taken a disturbing turn. On Monday, Scripps News reported that former New Mexico Attorney General Hector Balderas was told to, quote, stand down, unquote, from investigating disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch, about 40 miles south of Santa Fe. He told the outlet that he had been looking into crimes that Epstein may have committed there in 2019 until he received a call from the Southern District of New York telling him to back off as the federal government investigated the property. So, let's do a little review for people.
Let's play some baseball, yeah.
Play some baseball. I like that. A little inside baseball.
Yeah, a little baseball.
Jay Clayton, who's never heard of Jeffrey Epstein, never been associated with anyone who's ever been around Jeffrey Epstein, obviously. I'm being tongue-in-cheek right there. Jay Clayton, in charge of the Southern District of New York, picks up the phone. Mm-hmm. Hey, listen up, sucker. Yeah, you, New Mexico. That's not even a state. We're in New York. We're the federal government. This is ours. We've gotten everything about this investigation right. We have been a steward for all people out there who are upset about this case. We are committed to nothing but transparency here in New York, unlike you incompetent people in New Mexico who had this operating right under your nose. You're going to stand down because the big boy federal government's coming in and we're going to take care of business, okay? Yeah, you got that? Yeah, no, I know we had James Comey's daughter on this case running. I know. That was a different time. Yeah, no, it was the same president. Yeah, right. But then there was a new president there as well. I wasn't here during that. What are you talking to me for, pal? You live in your state government. Fuck off, Hector. You know this president's tough on the border. That last name's not looking too good.
Oh.
That last name's not looking too good. You want Madre and Padre and Tio and Tia? Yeah. Yeah, I can look that up, pal. That's right. Back off. This is our investigation. Don't worry. Justice, victim. Nah, we'll get to that. Click. That's probably how it went.
Yeah.
I don't know. How'd I do?
I think that's good. I think Hector doesn't live here anymore.
Well, he might live here, but you know.
Nah, he got the boot. The Great Migration, as they call it.
We're going to have to go down there and rescue him.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Mike Nellis, a political strategist, said in a new podcast episode on Tuesday that the report was both disgusting and disturbing. Mike, I think I agree with you. We have essentially one of the world's, if not the world's, greatest human traffickers, greatest abusers of little kids, greatest blackmailer who has blackmailed so many people, corrupted so many people in the business and politics and government and Hollywood. God knows where else he's stuck his dark, twisted influence in, and our government has never searched his New Mexico ranch, which is owned by Steve Bannon's friend. A ranch that, by the way, was sold, here it is, was sold to a Republican mega donor who was also running for statewide office in Texas very recently, endorsed by Steve Bannon. So the tangled web of this cover-up and this scandal continues to unravel, and the more it does, the more it pisses me off. Deef, how could I forget this, though? Of course they got to have the state government who they think is incompetent lay off. Remember, they're trying to turn it into a Christian retreat.
That's right. I'm getting baptized
This
there.
nation was founded on Judeo-Christian values. You're trying to bring it back to that, right?
Yeah, no, I haven't been confirmed yet. I think I'm going to have my confirmation there.
You're going to get your out in New Mexico.
Yeah.
It looked beautiful in Breaking Bad.
I like it. I'd go there.
Right?
Smoke a little crystal. Smoke a little crystal and dig some holes.
That's actually
Maybe
pure
that's
spec. You would
how
never
they
do
get to
that.
the bottom of this. Maybe they
Yes.
get a bunch of tweakers, give them crystal and a bunch of shovels, and they say, Zorro Ranch, you smoke as much meth as you want. Just get digging.
They'll fucking dig fast.
That's what I'm saying. Might find some
The problem
stuff.
is, Steve, the shovel might hit some evidence, and break it. Because they're not careful.
A little evidence is better than no evidence.
That is right. So very interesting that Jay Clayton's office is the one to come in and do this. Again, I speculated it a few weeks ago. I talked to Henry about this today. Mm-hmm. And actually, I didn't. We'll talk to Henry about this on the podcast. I'll just put it this way. He seemed to be on a similar page with me, but if I had to bet today why Trump is so gung-ho on making this go away, I really think it has something to do with Melania being introduced to him. I really, really do. Because it wouldn't even matter what the truth is there. It wouldn't matter. Again, pure optics here. The optics of if the sitting First Lady of the United States had been introduced to the sitting President of the United States decades ago by Jeffrey Epstein himself, you don't have to go beyond the headline. It is what it is. It's the biggest scandal in modern history. So that again, I don't have any proof of that. I don't know. It's been speculated by witnesses and stuff in official government documents. So that's literally the definition of some pure spec. But if I were betting and had to guess, throw darts at the board, that is probably his main concern. Again, also a part of that 1999 to 2001 tranche of documents that's strangely missing during some very important years, including 9/11, a lot of different scandals going on, tech bubble crash, all this shit, people investing in the airline stocks ahead of 9/11, all this stuff. Also in the middle of that is right around the time that Melania Trump meets Donald Trump. Just saying. People, when your girl's involved, Deef,
Yeah, you
sometimes you do some interesting things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
Also, another one. I forgot about this one. This happens every week now. Sorry, people. We're falling behind. I'm working on it. Jeffrey Epstein's assistant, who's on all these fucking emails, Leslie Graff, who, as far as I know, is from Connecticut and may still live in that state. I'm not going to dox her. Don't look up her address. Let's not dox her. But, she also testified for Congress. But it wasn't under oath. And we didn't see it.
Nice.
Tara Palmieri was all over this. She's got content on it on her YouTube channel. We really got to set up that podcast at some point. We got to talk to Kish about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, here you have a woman who, can we go to jmail.world just to lay this out for people? I mean, if you guys have reviewed any of the emails, yeah, this is exactly the woman on all of it, coordinating everything every single day for Jeffrey Epstein, long after his conviction. Let's type in Leslie Graff.
All right.
Is it? Yeah, it's 2 F's, right? Or is it? How do you spell it again?
I think that was correct. Oh, Groff.
Oh, sorry. Searching.
Yeah, I mean
thousands.
There's thousands of them.
She's on thousands.
Yeah.
You know, these are all when Howard Lutnick was trying to meet with him for business, philanthropy, on a personal basis. You know, she's the one coordinating all that. Why is she? So again, even if I devil's advocated it, there's no way this is true. And she knew nothing and was totally innocent, which is just no way that's true. There's no way she doesn't know where bodies are buried here. But let's just, for the sake of argument, deal with me for a second. She got no idea.
Yep.
She just out to lunch. Why on earth, why on God's green earth has this woman not been in front of every fucking camera, sitting in a full-blown open congressional hearing that everyone in the world can watch on C-SPAN and therefore on every other news network carrying it live? Why? You know? Oh, I know why, Deef. We got the Iran war.
Yeah,
we got
do.
the missing
We
scientists
are in a
to talk
war.
about.
Yeah, we're in a war.
You got to be patriotic here. That's the issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Distractions. But it's worse, by the way. It's not just that she won't appear. Congress did learn something.
Great.
When she testified. According to Rep. Melanie Stansberry, Epstein's longtime executive assistant admitted that her legal fees, you know, she got nothing to hide, but she got to hire a lawyer, are being paid by a fund established through Epstein's estate. You can read that again as this tweet from Brian Allen at Brian Analysis on Twitter reads. Jeffrey Epstein died in 2019, yet his money is still paying the attorneys of a key witness connected to his network. Then came another admission. She acknowledged helping arrange calls between Epstein and Trump, Prince Andrew, and other powerful figures, which actually that's not that groundbreaking. You can run the emails where she's doing a lot of this. Maybe some of that's not on email, but like every fucking person in the world, so-and-so would like to call you. And somehow so-and-so works in the federal government these days and is a billionaire, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Even now, Epstein's money appears to be shaping who can afford legal representation and who can't. Again, maybe my lawyers in the comments can help me out with this. I don't know the legality of whether a deranged criminal's estate of ill-begotten gains and money and dark, dirty money that also paid off all the victims that he and a bunch of rich people around the world raped or whatever, you know, or whatever, a lot beyond that is what I mean when I say or whatever. I'm not downplaying that. I don't know the legality of that estate being able to use that money and then help protect the people who are trying to fucking cover their ass after the fact. But I would imagine it's frowned upon.
Yeah.
In a normal system, that would be pretty frowned upon.
Yeah,
right?
usually I'd bet that.
That's usually the thing. But you know what, Deef? I am sure. I have so much faith that things like this, these stories that we've even left behind some, and you know, now we've had to play catch up to. Hopefully, you guys can forgive us for that out here. But at least we're putting out here publicly. I am sure that someone with the size and control of a platform as large as one Bari Weiss has now, I am sure that she, through CNN and the Free Press and 60 Minutes and all these different big, beautiful outlets that she has full cable and digital media control over, I'm sure they're going to be covering all this so that the American people at all times, at every level, can be fully aware of the extent of the continued investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. All right, she'll get to that. Right?
She's Bari Weiss is a straight shooter.
Very straight shooter.
And she's probably the last real journalist. You ever seen All the President's Men?
Yes.
That's what I think of.
She's the woman.
When I think of Bari Weiss.
Right. She's the DEI. We needed a lesbian as the third wheel.
Oh, I was thinking of the guy that has the hat and he's in the shadow that they meet in the garage.
Deep Throat.
Yeah. She's Deep Throat.
Oh, she's Deep Throat. Oh, she's the source, too.
She's the source.
She's playing both sides.
Playing both sides. But she's a straight shooter.
Straight shooter.
Yeah. You know, what is the quote for the Washington Post? Democracy dies in the dark.
Democracy dies in darkness, yes.
Bari Weiss is the light.
I couldn't say that any better.
Thanks.
You thought about that one before.
No, that
just came right off
that's
the
just
noggin.
how I do it.
That's why he's here.
That's it.
He's just a creative genius.
Yep.
That script's going good?
It's going great.
It's going good.
It's
Joey
going
Deef has a
great.
full movie script, another one.
Yeah.
Done.
This one will actually get made, like a feature length, you know?
Yes.
And JD is going to be on screen, folks. Yeah. He's playing Bari Weiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm working on her accent right now. It's very unique. So
We're sending you to a few lesbian bars in the city for research.
I'm a great ally.
Playing
of the lesbians.
dodgeball with them
Yes.
at the park.
That's right.
Nice.
Been talking with a lot of them to do some research, and they've been a great help.
Nice.
They're all fans of Bari Weiss too.
Oh yeah.
But Bari Weiss obviously works for one of the greatest living Americans, Larry Ellison, who
Straight shooter.
straight shooter who cares about nothing but America's interests, has never ever advocated for the interests of anywhere outside of America. Actually, he's just a tech founder creating great surveillance technology on behalf of the United States out of the goodness of his heart.
Well, yeah. If you're a titan of industry, you can't do no wrong. So that's why he's a likable guy.
You can't do no wrong. And I'm sure he was very happy to see all the progressive victories in New York City or New York's general elections.
Yeah.
Last week, I'm sure Larry Ellison was a fan of that. Can I just give a word of advice for everyone who is complaining about this? Look, if it were up to me, obviously I don't like any politicians and everything, but every election would be determined through some sort of exactly what it is left-winger and exactly what it is right-winger. We'd never see a fascist. We'd never see a fucking communist. Obviously, the people who were winning last week are running on very socialist, Mamdani-like platforms, and, it represents a real extreme swing of that pendulum. But just as a word of advice to people out there looking to run for office, regardless of what party, who want to have a chance to win, it might not even be as politically talented in speaking as Mamdani. I may think the guy's politics and solutions suck. He is a master speaking, and even when he is totally bullshitting, he fully makes you believe that he believes it. That is, that is a remarkable gift, and that is what you got to work with. But Mamdani did two things to win, and that playbook now led to all these other people that he endorsed winning. And those two things are, he focused on New York, and he focused on the economy. You can argue with his fucking political solutions. Again, I disagree with them. But the word Israel shouldn't even be coming out of the mouth of anyone running for office in fucking New York. And if it does, just a word of advice. Maybe don't say something positive about their government right now. How about that? Don't line up to try to go visit there. Because what resonates with people right now is a lot of people in this country, especially people below the age of 55, aren't a huge fan of the actions of that government going on.
Especially in New York.
Especially in New York. And we have laid that out here. And Mamdani answered some questions unbelievably well, where they tried to trap him last week over AIPAC, tried to trap him over his criticism of Israel, and he was able to divorce his Jewish constituents from the actions of a foreign government beautifully, politically speaking. And that is something that people who have been running against his people seem to have an inability to do. The second thing is the economy, stupid. Mamdani went to all these people that voted for Trump in 2024, and instead of being like, how the fuck could you do that? He said, hey, I saw you flip for Donald Trump in the last election. Obviously, I have differences of opinion than Donald Trump on how to solve things, but why'd you do that? And they said, well, I was poor. And I had more money in my pocket when he was president the first time. So that's why I did it. Oh, okay. What ideas did you like about what he said? Well, he was going to get money in my pocket this way, that way. Okay. Again, not judging them. Even if he's being a sleazebag politician, just lying to their face, at least he put on the lie. And he said, okay, well, if I could do X, Y, and Z for your wallet, is that something you might be interested in? And people said, yeah. Maybe they're not educated on what the solutions are and how maybe some of them won't actually work because they're extremely socialist and things like that. Doesn't matter. He took the time to say, how can I help you with that? Met people where they were. So if I were a political strategist, and I am not, to be clear, very common sense though, speaking to anyone on the left and right, either way, that doesn't like what happened here, I'd say get the word Israel out of your mouth unless you're criticizing their government. And then I'd say focus on how you're going to help people economically in the place where you're actually running for fucking office. It's not hard. It's kind of all I got to say about that. I feel like we got it today, but stay tuned for the Leon Black on tape testimony that's apparently coming on July 16th. I won't hold my breath that we're going to see a lot of transparency from one Leon Black there, but it'll be interesting to finally watch him squirm for ourselves.
Yeah, I want to see him squirm.
I want to see him squirm. Anyway, that said, thank you to everyone who has subscribed and will subscribe right now. You guys are making this thing possible. As always, we are doing 2 guest episodes every single week during the week on Tuesday/Wednesday and Friday. We had 2 more this week. We got 2 more next week as always, and I will see you next week for this episode as well. Give it a thought. Get back to me. Peace.
Peace.
What's up, guys? Thanks so much for watching the video. If you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button before you leave, as well as leaving a like on the video. It's a huge, huge help. You can join my Patreon via the link in the description, and you can also join my clipping community via the Discord link down below. See you for the next episode.